Players Podcast. I'm Frusile. Thank you so much for joining this week. Our guests hail from Italy, and as you will find, that is where the unicorns live. Enjoy. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast this week, guys, coming over all the way from Italy to do so.
Hello everyone, I am a Modern Monkey and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for signing.
I am Pietro Bragiotto, alias Crila Peoty on the line, and I'm very happy to be here. Hello everybody.
So I want to learn just a little bit about you guys before we get started talking about Pauper this week. Can you tell me a bit about yourselves?
Yes, of course. I am 26, so not so young anymore, or not so old, depending on what you think. And I used to play MTG when I was way younger in my high school. I played for 3 or 4 years. I stopped when Lorwyn came out, so a long time ago. And then I stopped and I started back playing a couple years ago. I discovered Pauper because Pauper didn't exist when I stopped playing and when I played. I really liked this format from the beginning. So I started with Pauper and I liked it, and then I came in MTGO and I still enjoy playing.
Yeah, I started playing Magic 4 years ago. This year I went to Torino University, Turin, and here I know at the game store Modern Monkey. After that we started to play Pauper together and to make a challenge, and this is a very enjoyable experience. When I started to play, I liked Eternal format, but Legacy was too expensive to me, and I didn't like Modern, so I tried this new format, Pauper, and I think I immediately fall in love with it. I started to jam a tournament and discovered MTGO just 2 years ago, but usually we have a lot of tournaments here in Italy.
I met, as Peoty said, we met at the game store like a year ago. And at the first time, and still now, he uses to beat me every time I meet him in the tournament. Like, we are friends, and I really hope to dodge him at the tables.
Yeah, at the beginning, I proposed Modern Monkey to be his mentor, but now he's way stronger, he's grown up, and he is ready to compete online. It is not very famous, but a lot of people on Modo recognize Modern Monkey as a strong player, and I'm very happy with it.
Perhaps not famous, but definitely recognizable in the Pauper world as a previous winner of the Sunday Challenge and being qualified for the Format Championship in January. Definitely a strong competitor. Now, I want to learn just a little bit about what Pauper is like in Italy. I'm under the impression you guys have a national tournament that happens each year. Can you tell me a little bit about what the scene is like?
Yes, I will talk about Italian Pauper scene. We are a very friendly community with a lot of region league of Piemonte, league of Milan, league of Rome. A lot of league that 3 times each year gather themselves to Paupergeddon, that are a big event with 200 players, almost Italian, but last time there was also a Russian people from Russia. So we have this big event with all the Italian league together. Night before this big event, we have a big dinner all together because we know each other and we are a very, very friendly community between us.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of Paupergeddon, just 2 so far. Both I had very bad results. I mean, I brought the wrong decks, so I just have these good memories that at my first ever Paupergeddon, which was great. You know, all these people in a single room and everyone is friendly. It's just a great experience. At this tournament, I brought an old deck like Blueback Delver when it was still legal. And together with Crila Peoty, we decided to not put Hydroblast in our sideboard, hoping to dodge the bar matchup. You know, it's a big tournament. It's like 9 turns, if I remember right. And you need to make choices. We wanted to spike it, so we decided to use Hydroblast slot to for something else.
For the mirror, I guess.
For the mirror, I guess. Yeah. At the time, the deck was very, very popular. The story was that I met like 4 bars. The bar deck in the tournament, and so I regret my decisions, but that was a good memory, so it was fine.
Yeah, so these 3 Paupergeddon are 1 in Milan, one in Rome, and one in Florence. The three big cities of Italy, one on north, one on and two on center, because we don't have a lot of player in South Italy. We have a lot of player on North Italy and a decent amount of player in the center of Italy in league such as the Florence League, the Rome League. A lot of people. Pauper is growing up in Italy, and every year we have new recognized regional league.
What do you think is making Pauper grow in Italy at this time?
I think that Pauper is growing still now in Italy because now it is an official format, and so competitive people that before were playing formats such as Modern, Standard, Legacy are now into Pauper because it's now sanctioned, and so a lot of people that are only competitive now start to play Pauper. And the second reason is that in Italy the community is growing. With the community I mean people that, yes, play card games but love also the dinner, for example, pre-Geddon, and all the meeting of people aside from the card game. So I think that the other reason is that the Pauper community is in Italy is very nice, and a lot of people are hearing about it and want to enter in this wonderful community at a human level.
Yes, if I can add something, I remember that when I used to play when I was younger, I didn't like the community so much. Maybe it was because of the formats. I don't want to talk and say bad things about other formats because, for example, I like to play Legacy too. But Pauper has something special that I think it depends on the prizes. Like Pauper tournaments are not about the big prize, are just about the fun. So when I started playing, I went at my local game store and I found a group of people, and then we became friends. We are a big group, say something like 30, 40 people. We are 20, 30 regulars, which every week attend the tournament. It became a group of friends. So sometimes we go out for beer. Sometimes I think our friends went for the paintball actually. So Magic is just an excuse to stay together in paper. When I want to play competitive, I play on Modo on MTGO. But in paper, Magic is just a thing that drives us together, and this is great because it's the same concept that Paupergeddon also have 200 maybe 200 people together. Just playing Paupergeddon have very good prizes, but that's not the main point.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight one thing. Let's say that Pauper have a nice and friendly community, but this doesn't mean that Pauper isn't competitive, because there are a lot of competitive people in Pauper tournament, especially at Geddon, that are a very high level. I think that the fact that Modern Monkey didn't do well at Geddon are the proof that Geddon has a high competitive level. And so, yes, Pauper community is very, very friendly and very nice. But I think that especially lately, the competitive level is growing up. So Pauper is a format for skilled people like other formats. It's not an inferior format to formats such as Modern. It's growing up also on a competitive level. But as the upside that the community, in my opinion, is a special thing. Like the community of Pauper outside the game itself is another thing of, for example, Legacy or Modern community, in my opinion. Before the big tournament, we all went to restaurant for Italian tagliata. Is a special cut of meat. Very, very, very tasting cut of meat. A lot of time before tournament, especially small tournament, not Paupergeddon, we usually get out and drink something. We drink something. We are all together.
Oh, Crila, Peoty, we have another tradition we forgot to talk about, which is the costumes at the tournament. Sometimes you go and there are some people dressed like a unicorn. Why?
Yes, in one of my first medium tournament, because it has only 65 people, I went dressed like an unicorn, because a friend of mine, Mirko Ciavata from Torino, Eisen on MTGO. Give me this funny unicorn dress, and I dress like a unicorn for the whole tournament, and it was very funny and very characteristic, but not at Paupergeddon.
Other people did the same then. You started a tradition.
Yes, I accepted the challenge, the funny challenge from Mirko. I will not do it again.
Well, that's really interesting. I was not expecting to hear about a bunch of Italians dressing up as unicorns for the important tournaments, but I'm really not super surprised that you guys have a few drinks before the small tournaments. That seems like a lot of fun.
I mean, everyone should once in a life see a unicorn in the top 8 of a big Pauper tournament of 200 people.
Some people dress like a unicorn, not all, one or two people. When we drink together, for example, before a small or medium tournament, this is very funny. This is why I think that a Magic community is great. Also because we are all together having fun outside the game itself, that is very pleasant, but the community is also outside the game. And this is very important in my opinion.
So the night before Paupergeddon, you guys all go out to have a delicious, wonderful meal. How many people do you usually get for that if the tournament's about 200 people? What percentage of the tournament field comes out for this dinner, this bonding experience?
Yes, usually 40, 45 people, almost 50 usually, because a lot of people want to go to bed early because there is a big tournament, but a lot of people have this very, very tasty meal together. I think 40, 45 people.
Maybe in Pisa we were 60 even.
I think so. We are a lot, 3 big table on the restaurant.
That sounds like it's a lot of fun. So there's 3 big Pauper tournaments each year at these Paupergeddons. Which one is the most prestigious? Which one do you guys want to do well in, and why?
Rome is still the little brother of the Paupergeddon because it is a more recent Paupergeddon in Rome, and as less person, we talk about 140, 150 person that are 50 or more person less than the other Geddon. I think that the historic Geddon of Italy is the Milan Geddon because it was the first Geddon in Italy and the Geddon that usually get more people and that is more famous. So I think that in the first place is the Milan Geddon, second place a little the Florence Geddon that is growing up, and this year has changed the location. This year we had a wonderful location. We are no more in Florence, we went to Pisa, another city with the characteristic tower. And in the third place, I think that the Paupergeddon Rome, because a lot of people of North Italy can't go to this Paupergeddon because the travel is very, very long and it costs also a lot of money. And so this is the reason because Rome Paupergeddon is, I think, the less important for now, and the historic Paupergeddon is Milan, that is the most important. What do you think, Modern Monkey?
I think one of the problems maybe is that Paupergeddon are big tournaments, and you usually start in the morning around 11 a.m. and they, if you make to pay, they end at night. Sometimes you finish at 10 p.m. So
yeah, but usually we split the top 8 to finish early in the night.
And that's sad. Yeah, usually happens that people split the top 8 prices because it's very late and people need to come back home because you start early in the morning. So maybe you need to travel the night before also to enjoy the dinner before the tournament. If it's the weekend, the tournament is on Sunday, maybe Monday you work and you need to go to your hometown. If the tournament finishes so late, you don't have the time. For example, in Pisa, latest Paupergeddon, I was with we were with Mirko, which is Heisen on MTGO, and he won the Paupergeddon with Ron, and he finished around midnight. Then we had another 4 hours of car to go back to home, and you see why sometimes people split the prizes.
Yeah, but I want to tell this story because we usually split, but last Paupergeddon in Florence, we had Eisen who won, Mirko Ciavatta that won the whole thing, that didn't want to split. And every round Mirko went ahead, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and after the final, the judge was moaning about it because he he wanted to go home and he wanted that player to split. But Mirko, he went until the end, until the victory, and so the judge had to stay to the tournament until I think midnight. And the Russian guy stay until the end. He was my hero. It was very funny.
I think it's fantastic. You guys are getting players traveling all the way from Russia. You know, that's not next door. That is quite the journey. That is a dedication to Pauper, and I think that speaks volumes for just how prestigious the tournament is in Europe. It sounds like that there's not, to my knowledge, a more important paper tournament in Europe. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I think you are correct because I think that with the format going official, we had a lot. Some people also starting to go to Poppergeddon from the other country. I think that with the last Milan Poppergeddon, we have 3 or 4 people from Spain, and I think one person from France. But the last Geddon that we have one person from Russia, we all went crazy with this man because he went from Russia to Italy only for Pauper, and this it was really amazing.
Is that ever an issue with languages when you have people coming from Spain, from France, from all over Europe? It sounds like it's only that's going to grow in the future if you have people are already coming from Russia, from Spain, from France. Is how do you guys manage that logistically with the language barriers?
I think that the basic English for playing Magic is well known. There weren't any problem because English was a great way to understand each other when we are playing Magic with foreign people.
Can I add a thing? It's just that maybe in America you don't realize this, but when I started learning English, it was when I was 10 maybe, and I started playing with cards. I started playing with Pokemon cards, then the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then Magic cards. It's amazing because as a child you need to know English to play such games. It's easier to learn when you are doing something that you enjoy. And Magic really helped me a lot learning English. Then maybe my accent is not good, but English is not our main language. You know, usually we talk with our hands. We are Italian, but Magic played an important part in this. It's amazing how easy it can be to learn something when you enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that every Italian man that has practice with Magic or video game know the basic of English for playing. For example, in Magic, battle phase, combat, stack, end of turn, unkeep, end phase. These terms are well known. So I think that there weren't a lot of problem when 2 people from different countries are playing a game of Magic because all we know the basic English for communication when we are playing Magic.
Yeah, thanks for shedding some light on that for myself and for the rest of the listeners. I think that's a fantastic insight that you provided, Monkey, in that learning as a child another language, it helps to enjoy what you're doing. I feel like there's definitely a lesson there for anyone looking to learn another language. And while you were a little unsure of your accents, I'm pretty confident in saying that your English is far better than my Italian. So no problem there. Now, earlier you spoke a little bit about what you believe draws Italians to Pauper, but what draws you to Pauper?
So what I really like about Pauper is that it's a very interactive format. Like the games are a grind fest. You always need to interact with what the opponent is doing, and for this reason, Pauper is a format that rewards skill more than other formats. For example, I used to play Blue Black Delver in Pauper, then they banned it, and I tried Death Shadow in Legacy, which is a great format, very interactive too. But sometimes you just lose to nut draws. You can do nothing. For example, in Legacy, if they play Chalice on 1 and you are playing the Shadow, you straight up lose. I lost some games without even playing on turn 0. In Pauper, this doesn't happen. This is great because every game you can play it. And that's why you also see almost always the same people at the top tables. You know, Helsau, Bister, all these people. I'm forgetting many names, but that's my idea of the format. For this reason, I like Pauper. In every game, you have the impression that your decisions are relevant. But about this, I liked it more when we had the dates in the format before it was banned, because I think that dates rewarded even more skillful game plan and also kept some decks out of the format. Decks like Bogos, I really don't like Bogos and Heroic. To me, they are decks that, I mean, you have the natural, you win, otherwise you lose. And dates helped a lot in keeping this deck in check and rewarding playing around it. And so I would have kept it in the format, but that's just my idea. Of course, the format is still great for me. Crila, what do you think about the format?
I think I agree with you that Pauper is a skill-based format, but I think that with this general trend of banning a lot of cards from tempo deck or from the other deck, had lower the skill level of this format, because now we don't have a tempo deck, we don't have cards such as Days to play around. We have more straightforward strategy. We have aggro vs loop, and I still enjoy the format, but I think that is going in the wrong direction with this ban and this politic of the ban. Because I think that instead of ban some cards such as Days, they should have printed more cards for Pauper, making other archetype greater, and they don't have to kill entire archetypes, such as all the tempo deck are now unplayable and all the one-shot combo are now unplayable. But also tribe is fine now because it's an anti-meta, but is not near of the old power level. So I think that Pauper is still enjoyable and still skill-based format, but is not going in the right direction, I think.
I agree, and also I don't enjoy so much the fact that now you have some decks, such as Jeskai, that you can just rip off the top of your deck a Maldrifter and an Ephemerate and go back in the game, win the game, even if you play the whole game not so tightly maybe, or even if you play it tightly, like turn 4 Drifter and Ephemerate, it's a game you probably lose as an opponent. And I don't like. For me, Pauper is made of micro advantages. So, like every turn, you need to go ahead on cards, go ahead on board state, and Madrift and Ephemerate just kills it. Don't you think the same?
I think your observation about micro advantages being important in Pauper is a fundamentally solid observation. All of my previous guests have wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the format. What's your guys' take on the format right now?
Yeah, I think that the problem is not Astrolabe. Astrolabe is a great way to fix mana in all deck, and so I think that the problem is Ephemerate, but not because it has an extraordinary power level, such as a card, for example, like Gush. Gush is has a fantastic power level. I think that Ephemerate has a great power level, but lead to some bad gameplay situation. I don't enjoy with the lock gameplay that Ephemerate take us. I don't enjoy this situation where Ephemerate rule the game. Yeah, I think that is a great card, but lead to some, I think unfunny situation. I think not enjoyable situation. I don't know if it is right to ban this card, Ephemerate, but I know that it is not funny for the format, so we can try to search a solution or to ban it, but I don't want to call the ban. I only say that this card is not good for Pauper gameplay, in a gameplay perspective, not on power level.
Also because it leads to very, very long game. Like every time I play a Pauper game, it's 40 minutes every game. I mean, I don't play aggro, that's true. But even aggro decks, sometimes if you play against a deck with Ephemerate or Flicker or whatever, the game is going long because win conditions aren't much, you know.
Yeah, but also I think that the gameplay suffer from the aggro absence, because if I play Jeskai, I want to set my deck vs mirror and vs aggro. So there are only loop and aggro in the format. I want tempo in the format, so Jeskai is not so good anymore if tempo rules the format. But now Jeskai have to set only against mirror and against aggro, and it's all. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. But I think there are some ways to fight the Jeskai. For example, I know you are trying Tireless Stripe deck.
Yeah, but I think that the metagame suffer from tempo absence. I know that tempo was a cancer for the format, but last ban killed it and make the format less interesting and with less macro archetype. Now we have what the Sky, that is the only mid-range, let's say. Tron, that is the only real control deck, and a lot of aggro, such as Red Deck Queens, Stompy, and also Aura, Affinity. The other deck that are interesting and not aggro are Elves and Stop, not any more deck. To sum up, I want Tempo deck in the format again, because they were very funny, they were very skill-based, and they make a great metagame and a great gameplay. I can accept tempo deck that are not powerful like times ago before the banning, but I want that this option viable again, because mono blue now is not great, Where Delver is not great, and Kinfin was killed. Tribe is great because the format doesn't care about combo, but that's it. So I want tempo deck in the format again, such as Mono Blue, Ubi Angular Delver, Where Delver. I want this deck again. I miss this deck.
So on the Jeskai topic, I think it's really nice to go deeper. Think about all the different lists and versions of the deck, because right now Jeskai is like a macro archetype, but I don't think there is a single list that's proved to be better than others. I know that you, Crila, like the list with Hogs. I don't think Glint Hogs is so good in the deck. I really liked Space Starter Sprite. I think, if I'm not wrong, maybe I was the first to go top 16 in a challenge with a fairy list of Jeskai. It wasn't a proper Jeskai list because I used to play both Fairy Seer, Spectator Sprite, and Ninja of the Deep Hours, which I think is great, and it's a very, very decent replacement for Madrifter. Then Matonical, the challenge, the next challenge, like melted my list, traditional Jeskai list, and added Spectator Sprite in the deck, just for Spectator Sprites. And I think that card in Jeskai is busted, and in this current meta it's super good because it helps against every bad matchup of Jeskai, such as Barn, Bogos, Heroic, or this card. It's great with Ephemerate, and it's a great target for Korskai Fisher. Also because Jeskai as a deck, I see many lists running 4 Korskai Fisher, like 2 or 3 Arcumancer, couple of, Formal Drifter, and nothing else. You lack good target Korskai Fisher in those decks, because if you can rip Astrolab in your opening hand, then your deck is going great. You have Astrolab for Korskai Fisher, you have color fixing, you have everything. But if you don't draw Astrolab, your Korskai Fisher becomes bad, and that's why you need good targets such as Spectator Sprite. Also, this is why I think that the lists that are cutting cantrips are wrong. I mean, you're playing a 3-color decks which needs Astrolab to work, and you can't play only 4 preordains in those decks. I don't get how those lists make it to the top tables. I mean, you have to be lucky. You need to play at least 7 cantrips in Jeskai, in my opinion. And for me, the best lists are the more control-oriented one, tempo-oriented one, Spectator Sprites, Korskai Fisher, Arcumancer. I'm not sure about Madrifter. I said it's busted, and it's busted indeed, but I don't like to have cards that can get stuck in my hand like Drifter. I prefer something leaner like Ninja, but that's just my preference. With the Hawks, I don't think it's fitting in the game plane of the deck. You usually can't go aggro. I mean, it can be good against Tron to develop a board presence, but I don't think Hawk is winning you the game. I think you're winning the game with Arcumancer and Ephemerate lock, basically. What do you think, Crila?
I think that a lot of people undervalue the power of Brainstorm in this 3-color deck, because a lot of time you have different silver bullet in your deck, such as Pulse of Murasa, such as Dispel, and other card that are very good with Brainstorm, because in the wrong matchup you can use Brainstorm to shuffle this card with another cantrip, or better, a fetch, in your deck. So you can sculpt your hand like in Legacy, with better timing on fetch. And so I think that Brainstorm is really important as a 2-off or maybe 3-off for safety in this deck. But with Brainstorm, you have to make sure to run proper number of fetchland, 7 fetchland at least. 6 are a bit low. And I think that Brainstorm over Ponder is the way to go in this deck. Ponder has the only benefit that you can find Astrolabe more when you need it, but Brainstorm has the upside to shuffle your hand and to scalp your hand. So I watched the Pauper League of Cool Stuff Inc. Condescend playing Jeskai. Lot of time Condescend flopped with land or have the wrong answer in hand. And I think that with Brainstorm in this spot, instead of Ponder, his deck will cooperate a lot more. And so I think my take is Brainstorm on Jeskai, and you won't regret it.
For sure, but I wanted to ask to you, Crila, what decks or cards do you think we can use to fight the meta? Maybe Pestilence, maybe Tribe? What decks do you think that are a bit...
I think that a deck that is very, very well positioned in this meta, if you want to try something different, is Mardu Pestilence. So, another Astrolabe deck. It is basically a Pestilence with Scred, looting, and a lot of Pyroblast or red Elemental Blast on side to fight his worst matchup, Tron, and Aizen 01. Try this deck and has a lot of success with it in Pauper League, and I really suggest this deck. The only problem with this deck is that it's not easy to play, and above all, it's not easy to find the right configuration in a 3-color and Pestilence deck with all side in and side out. Because this deck is not very famous. You can't build a Jeskai deck. You can simply net deck it, and you are right. You are with a good deck. But with the Pestilence deck and some niche archetype, you have to build your own build with your own side in and side out. You can't simply net deck a Pestilence deck. You have to tune it for the metagame.
Yeah, and then you have a secret tip for the sideboard, which I adopted, is that to make a big paper, write down all the cards you take out in every matchup and all the cards you bring in those matchups. So you have your paper with all the sideboard cards. You have exactly the number of cards you need for any specific matchup you might face. I think that this is a great way to set board and a tip that everyone should apply. Another topic for me, I've been playing Tron in the past challenges, not because I particularly like the deck. I think it's boring and you need to click many times, and also you don't have time to do anything between rounds because rounds are long. But
this is Loop City, my friend.
This is
Loop City, the city of loops.
Yeah, I think it's a deck that is best positioned at the moment, and my list is a bit different from the others because I'm playing 3 Ulamog's Crusher in the sideboard, which right now I think it's great. Don't you think the same, Crila?
Yeah, because I wrote an article on an Italian Pauper forum, Pauper channel, Pauper Wave for Tron. And I think that Ulamog is a fantastic idea because it fights the Jeskai player on different axes of gameplay. Because Jeskai player bring in Pyroblast, Dispel, Relic of Progenitus, and Ulamog playing around this type of card. It doesn't matter if you Maldrifter Ephemerate me on turn 4, it matters if you can't respond Ulamog with card advantage, because with Ulamog you lost 2 permanent a turn. And so it doesn't matter if you draw 3, 4, 5 cards more on me, you are losing to Ulamog because it fights you in a different axis.
Yeah, I know you definitely caught me off guard. The last time you and I played was we were already both locked for the playoffs for the top 8, but you definitely caught me off guard with your sighting into Ulamog's Crushers against my 4-color Labe deck. You did correctly guess that I would take out Screds and have 0 answers to Ulamog's Crusher, so when you resolved your Ulamog's Crusher, I was just dead right then and there. My brainstorms, my preordains, they could not find me any solutions. I believe I immediately clicked the concede button. So, yeah, they can definitely catch someone who is not prepared for that. You can automatically win the game by resolving them with Tron. So I think that's a fantastic solution, not just to have the clock in mind, but also to catch unprepared opponents off guard.
Yeah, it's a way to steal some games. I can see cutting squares against Tron. Actually, I keep in some squares because I like to interact with the flicker loops. But if you have other cards, I don't know if you played Snuff Out. I can't remember. But if you have Fire Blast and everything, cutting squares might be. It's a good idea, actually. And then Crila Peoty suggested me to play Ulabog. First, I wasn't so sure about it, but then I played it and it's great. Yeah, Throne is right now. I think is the best deck.
Well, I think it's a good observation. I think that you're going to get some free wins that way. I do want to start wrapping up. We've been talking for an hour. I think it's about time that we go ahead and give some slivers some silly abilities.
I want that my sliver has a different sound. For example, like Pokemon, when you cast sliver, when sliver attack, they have to make a different sound for the oppo. Such as the Pokemon Pikachu. Every time you cast it, every time it attack, it says Pika 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 Pika. So I want the sliver like Pokemon. They have to scream a different sound during whatever they do.
For me, every sliver should have this ability. You tap 3 mana, go eat a big spaghetti dish, and create a food token. This is my favorite sliver ability. I would like every sliver to have this ability as an Italian.
That's definitely not one we've heard before. I think that's pretty clever. This week, my slivers ability is all slivers have radical political beliefs. Thanks again for coming on the podcast, guys. Now, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you say goodbye to the people who tuned in this week.
Thank you for having me in this podcast. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I hope to see some new people, maybe French, maybe Spanish, in the next Pauper. See you all.
Thank you, Fursal, for hosting us on your podcast. It is a great idea, and I really enjoy listening to your episodes. So keep it up, the good work. Thank you again.
And thanks again to my two guests for coming on the podcast this week. Pauper in Italy. It's about food. It's about friends. It's about fun. Honestly, it sounds fantastic. And I am extremely motivated to participate in Paupergeddon in 2020. But I cannot wait. They've definitely intrigued me. They've definitely told me about an experience that I cannot wait to have. I'm looking so forward to traveling to Italy to play a little Pauper, of course, to have that lovely meal the night before, maybe have some nice Italian wine, make some memories. Regardless of how that happens, I intend to do a podcast from Italy, from Paupergeddon, when I'm able to do that. Some notes to end on this week. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback since I started this podcast, and it's really refreshing. It's really nice to hear people say, hey, good job. If you like what I'm doing and you're viewing it on YouTube, please do subscribe to the channel. It lets me know how I'm doing when I earn people's subscriptions. It means they're hooked. It means they're locked in and they want to listen to every podcast that I make. So if you feel that way, please do click the subscribe button. If you think that I'm dropping the ball, let me know. If you think that I'm making mistakes, give me that feedback. It's important for me to grow, for me to improve. I don't just want to be another Pauper podcast. I want to be the premier Pauper podcast. I want to make some of the best content that's out there for the community. And I can't do that if I don't hear about the mistakes that I'm making. So if you have some harsh feedback, I'm open to that. I want to hear it. So please do share that with me. And again, if you have positive feedback, I'm open to that as well, in the form of, a simple subscription or telling me good job. I'm happy to hear that. I'm just saying I can't wait to learn what I'm doing wrong. A lot of times, mistakes we make in life, they're easily viewed by other people, by observers. Having that third-person perspective. When you're a part of something, it's not always so simple to see your own mistakes. So please do share your thoughts with me in all forms. I'm looking forward to it. Next week on the Pauper Players Podcast, we have Probuskis, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Probusk? I tried. He won the challenge this week with Mono Green Stompy. He's going to come on, talk a little bit about that tournament and a little bit about Stompy and, of course, about Pauper in Poland. And I'll see you then.